Hello everyone, my name is Nachiketa and welcome back to another video. In this video I'm gonna be talking about what I do as a computer vision engineer. This is a field which has been rising lately. The field of AI and video AI is getting a lot of hype, and there is a lot of demand for computer vision engineers who are good at what they do. So as a fresher or as someone who has not worked in this field, there could be a lot of doubts you would have. So as to what would someone actually do in a full-time job as a computer vision, what would be the typical requirements, what could be the typical responsibilities. So I'm going to be talking about what computer vision is, what I do as a computer vision engineer, what would be the typical skill sets required for this job, and some basic tips that can help you get started in this field as well. So to start with, what's computer vision? Computer vision is a field of science which will basically help a camera interpret video the same way as a human does, right? So for example, if you show me a photo of a dog or a cat, right, I can understand what this is, what the context is. But when a computer sees this image, all it sees is pixels. It does not have any understanding of the image. So building AI algorithms, working on image processing so that cameras can now perceive images the same way humans do, is what computer vision is all about. There are different forms of this, there are different uses of this. So a self-driving car would be one application of a computer vision problems, wherein the car is using a camera to interpret roads the way humans do, right? So depending upon what company you're working in, what the main product is, there could be different ways or of how you're using computer vision. So when I talk about my specific role, I work at Aviros, which is a video AI operating system and marketplace. So like you have Android and like you have iPhone, Aviros is an operating system for computer vision application. So like you have a Play Store or an App Store on your phones, we have the equivalent of that, which we call as the Aviros App Stack. Right? This is a compilation of video AI application that any customer would need. And as a computer vision engineer, my job is to build these applications for the end customer. So to give you an example, we have an application for camera health check. So I'll only stick to one application for now, and I'll show you what the process is. So let's say we get a requirement from a customer that they need a camera health check application, which basically means that if a camera is being tampered, right, if someone is blocking the camera view, right, let's say a robber at a bank, right, or if someone is changing the camera view, flashing a light onto it, then basically the user should get a notification. So different applications have like that is what we are supposed to build. Now based on this application, we have to work on pre-processing of the data, working on different data augmentation tricks, taking care of data imbalance, and then building AI models or image processing algorithms that can help accomplish the given task. So just to give you an example of what my end goal would be, it is to get a production ready application which a user can use, right? Just to give you an example, to show you how it happens in practice at my company, this page is what we call as the Aviros app orchestrator, wherein the row at the top which you're seeing represents different video AI applications, and the column at the left represents different videos or camera sources. And the way you run a video AI application as a user is you select the corresponding cells which you want to run for that particular application. So the cells I selected map to a camera streaming and camera health check application which will run on a particular video source in this case. So the job is a user would select these cells and they click on the start button, and in the backend the frames from the camera would come to my algorithm. The algorithm would process these frames and then make sure that the camera health check application works as desired. So the end result is that whenever the user runs these applications, he should get notifications whenever the camera is being tampered. So let me give you a little bit context, right? So whenever I get a problem like this, we have some data set that we work with, right? The data set can be acquired online from available data sets. That could be synthetic generated data sets. That could be data set which you get from the client, or you manually generate yourself using a camera, right? So what I had done is I had taken a particular camera and I had simulated various instances of a person tampering the camera. So if you have a different video AI application, there is going to be a different process of generating video scenarios for that particular problem. So this is the camera stream of the camera I had used, and I went into the field of view and blocked the camera. As you can see right about now, I'm covering the camera with my hand, and I do different kinds of tampering. Right now I'm flashing a light onto the camera, different things that a typical intruder would do to block the camera, right? Or covering the camera with a cloth, or just completely moving the camera onto a different field of view, right? So this video served as a test video, basically after I'd made the algorithm, just to test if it works as desired or not. So the end result is you get the camera stream, you run your algorithm, and it gets desired results. These are some notification which come on the platform, right? So the engineering part of that is something which I'm not discussing, how it actually happens in the backend, how I get a frame, how it's processed, how it goes back into the front end. But the main point is right, I get the camera stream, I process that, there is a way of pushing that alerts back onto the UI, and the end user will get notified. For example, in this particular screenshot, I can see the camera view is being blocked, and it says over here the camera is tampered, right? So this is the end result, right? So this was just one example of an application. We have different applications for different use cases for different customers. As a computer vision engineer, our job is that we make the video AI application and then push that into production and make it scalable. So these two parts, making a video AI app and making it scalable, requires two different skill sets, which I'll talk about. When I talk about making the video AI application, right, this could be for any purpose. Let's say you are using a camera to read the number plate of a car, or you're using the camera to count the number of boxes on a conveyor belt in a manufacturing factory, right? So the application could be anything. As an engineer, your task would be first to acquire data sets, right? Work on different pre-processing techniques, data augmentation to make the data ready for model training, then use different computer vision models, different frameworks like TensorFlow, PyTorch, Darknet to train deep learning models on that. Sometimes it might not need any deep learning at all. It might just be possible by basic image processing, right? But the point is you do A to B testing, which is evaluation of different models, different algorithms to get results on that. Once that's done, the next thing is pushing it into production, which requires different aspects, different skill sets of software engineering. For example, if I talk about my application, right, once I build an application, we have to make sure that it's compatible with different software and hardware architectures. It's running on CPU versus GPU. We have to containerize it, monitor the usage, how much RAM is it consuming, how much GPU cores is it consuming, load balancing on different servers to make sure that the customer is able to use the application with the minimum amount of processing and minimum amount of cost in turn, right? So now let's talk about what are the requirements, what skill sets you need to have if you want to work as a computer vision engineer, if you're interested in the field of video AI yourself. Again, it differs company to company based on the product they are building, but the general skill set is you need to have basics of machine learning, deep learning, and computer vision. You need to be good at programming. Again, the programming language is it could be again different company to company, right? But it's normally either Python or C++. In my given role, we need both. In my given role, we use both. So for example, we train models in Python, but to ship that into production, we need to integrate that with C++ to optimize speed. So I would say first pick one programming language, let's say Python. If you become proficient in that, then you can start working on C++ as well. Most companies, if you're good at one programming language, you're good at algorithms, you're good at data structures in that, then they would give you a chance, because picking up another programming language is not that hard if you're good at one. So understanding of programming languages, basics of data structures. No one will ask you to invert a binary tree typically in startups, but they will expect good knowledge of the basics data structures, the inbuilt data structures of different languages, and how to access and manipulate them as well, right? Another important thing is knowledge of deep learning libraries like TensorFlow, PyTorch, Darknet, and OpenCV, right? These are libraries that you would use to process images, to train deep learning models. So that knowledge is important. So start with one or two frameworks and be proficient at that. Now when I talk about the software engineering part, right, that would require knowledge of Docker and Kubernetes and some cloud platform like AWS. and web frameworks and micro web frameworks like Flask or Django. These are some things that you would need to push your model into production. So if you're a complete beginner and starting from scratch, I would recommend going step by step. So target basics of machine learning, deep learning and computer vision. Right? Do not directly skip to computer vision or directly skip to deep learning. Start with machine learning first, right? So because the basic algorithms of machine learning, let's say linear regression or logistic regression, these are the most fundamental algorithms. Without that, deep learning is going to be hard for you to understand, or you wouldn't be able to understand that very clearly. Next is, once you have the basics cleared, work on basic computer vision projects. Let's say the most basic project is classifying handwritten digits using the MNIST data set. You get an image of a handwritten digit, you predict if it's a 7 or a 4 or a 10, right? That's a basic project. And then slowly move to more advanced projects. Broadly, there are 3 types of problems, like classification, where you're basically distinguishing if it's a cat or a dog, or if it's a 7 or a 4. Or the other domain of problems is of object detection, where you're detecting objects in a frame. And lastly, segmentation. So work on one domain and then slowly work on more and more projects. And the fourth thing is having some knowledge of pushing things into production, right? So if you make a machine learning model, know how to integrate that with web pages using frameworks like Flask or Django. So know how to containerize your models and how to deploy that onto platforms like AWS or GCP, right? So these are some areas which you can start targeting. And now if you want to target jobs in this field, I've made a video previously on that as well. Go to the AngelList website, I have a link for that in the description as well, and search for computer vision engineering related jobs. And then directly reach out to recruiters and then talk about what projects you have done and how they fit into the product that the company is building. So that is a good approach which worked for me as well. And if you're interested in the work I am doing, my company Aviros is also hiring for computer vision engineers, and you can find a link for the job role in the description as well, so you can apply for that if that is what you're interested in. But that was all for this video. I hope it was knowledgeable and gave you some insight so as to what a computer vision engineer would do. And if you did like this video, do like this video and subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you again in the next video.